Welcome in, everybody, to another live edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and of course, DK, as always, running the show. Appreciate the switch up there. Quick save. But we are excited to talk about the Baltimore Ravens second preseason game. Give you guys our thoughts, breakdown of the game, our 5 main takeaways, and everything else in between. But before we get into it, of course, as always, we got to talk about our awesome sponsor of the show. And make sure you guys get an opportunity to check it out and take advantage of it as well. So, Glenn, what do we got going on, my man?
Absolutely. BetOnline. It is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From the preseason NFL to college kickoff, BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our winner-take-all $300,000 NFL Survivor pool for the upcoming season. When the games are over, head on over to the online casino and get in a hand of blackjack or poker or unwind in over 150 slot games. Head to the website today. Use promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here.
Let's go. Speaking of the game, just like we were talking about second of now only 3 games. I'm here.
Is that you or me skipping?
I don't know.
It's
DK,
me.
who
It's
is
me.
it?
Is it me? Okay, it's me. It's me.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
It's
Glenn,
Jimmy.
we'll hope that your power holds out.
Mhm.
And if not, DK and I are here to get it done. But you always have your phone, so don't forget.
That's
if
true.
it goes out, just hop on your phone. All that being said, though, there's only 3 preseason games. This second one is obviously crucial, and we want to talk about it. DK, where are we going to start? We want to talk about our 5 big takeaways and our comments in the game and things like that. So let's roll this thing out, dude. Josh Johnson quiets the critics. It's funny, Glenn, because when DK wrote this banner out, I thought I should have said Josh Johnson quiets Glenn.
Well, I was a pretty outspoken critic of Josh
You were
Johnson's
the head of the charge. Glenn, you were the sole reason why the Ravens had to write that article about whether or not they should get a backup quarterback.
I think that's why they drew up a game plan to make this guy. I mean, 11 for 11. Josh Johnson makes me look like a fool. 120 yards, 1 touchdown. He sacked once. And we'll get into that rep because, Voorhees, I think, owes Josh Johnson an apology on that sack. But, I mean, he looked like I expected him to look the first game, like a 10-year vet who's been on 14 different teams, who's played in playoff games, who's, I think – what is it? It's I think he's done a lot to kind of rest some concerns from people around Baltimore. If Lamar were to miss a few games, it looks like he could be out there and participating, and he at least give us a chance to win the game.
Yeah, did you like him feel a little bit more?
You jumped a little bit. What'd you say?
I said you like that he was throwing the ball downfield a little bit more?
That was my favorite part. It's not like he was 11 for 11 with a bunch of dump downs or check downs or flat routes. No, this guy was pushing the ball down the field. In fact, if you look at some of the receiver longs, I mean, I know Dayton's, which we'll get into, was by Emory Jones, but a lot of these guys, 31-yard pass to Tylen Williams, 19 to Malik Cunningham, I believe that was also, and then a 26-yarder to Keith Kirkwood. A lot of big chunk plays, 15-yarder. I think that was a different quarterback to Riley Sharp. But big chunk plays is what I think this offense has kind of been missing for the past few years. Yeah, we can run the ball. And Lamar does eat other teams up over the middle of the field, but down the field passing, chunk plays is, I think, where we could take this team to the next level offensively. DK, what do you got here? Looks like you got something pulled up.
That's the Dayton play for a little bit. But no, I was going to say, Glenn, I knew the whole time. No, I'm totally kidding. I also agreed with you that there were definitely some question marks there, and Josh did a good job to quiet the critics. Looked like our clear backup. And at this point, I don't know what else we can ask for at that price point. So, look, this is what it is. If Lamar goes down, it's obviously curtains for the season. But maybe a few games, I think we'll be okay. And we'll kind of see what happens from there. But happy and relieved that we saw him put it together and string some nice plays together in the preseason, which is not easy to do.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
All right, DK, what we got? Yeah, Glenn, talk to me about this one, my man.
Dude, I mean, these young edges have just looked phenomenal in this past preseason game. I mean, I'm going to go through a couple names here, and and we're gonna talk about what they looked like. First of all, Joe Evans kind of stole the first preseason game show from the edge position, playing nearly, if not every defensive snap. Didn't see a lot from him, but who I did see, and it was a welcome sight, ladies and gentlemen. David Ojabo, who was ruled not medically cleared to participate in the first game, despite practicing with the team. He was eligible this game, and that dude was putting on a clinic. I mean, we heard from Chuck Smith. He said, these guys got moves now. These guys got moves. They got counter moves. Well, we saw a very explosive move from David Ojabo. That spin move he hit on the right tackle absolutely left him standing still. And people can tell me all they want. Well, that's not their starting right tackle. I don't care who was trying to block that spin move. They were going to be in deep trouble. That was absolutely devastating. And if that's what we're going to be, if we can get a healthy David Ojabo, that's what we can expect from him opposite Odafe Owe. Whew. And then KVN is just your pass rush specialist now at this point in his career. I'm feeling a lot better because we talked about, like, you can't count on anything from David Ojabo. Whatever he gives you is just a bonus. Well, now expectations changed after yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with you in that he flashed and it looks good. I mean, that's fair. The floor has risen, right? Like, he needs to be more than an added, yeah, this was awesome, right? Like, we're glad that an added surprise, if you will. He needs to be a consistent contributor. I think, like you said, with Ojabo and Odafe Owe, along with the relentlessness, the physicality, the size, the athleticism of Adisa Isaac, and of Tavius Robinson is exciting to watch. Like, I don't know if either of them in this coming year or maybe in their careers, I don't know if they're ever going to blow it up in the sack department. I don't know. But
Owe is this year.
Yeah, we'll see. But of those two, man, I'm excited to play football. I think they already are really good at sealing. They have good instincts. They already are high motor guys that are super athletic and super. I think. Looking forward to seeing how they can contribute on the team this year.
Something's going on with your connection here, Jimbo. It's
Is it me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, drop me off real quick. I'm gonna change rooms.
Yeah, it's hurting a little bit. All right, but yeah, it wasn't just David Ojabo. I got to give some other guys some credit here because there was a bunch of young edges here, including our first glimpse at Adisa Isaac, other Penn State now rookie, but other Penn State edge along with Odafe Owe. He looked absolutely. First of all, he looked a little too big. He's huge, but he looked a little too big, and I'm guessing that he probably put on some unwanted weight when he was dealing with the injury. Wasn't able to I'm sure do the conditioning and all the, he wasn't able to participate in training camp. So I think that affected his weight, and that might be causing some of these little injury issues. We saw him left the field yesterday. And I think that's stuff that's going to work itself out as he continues to get stronger and healthier from the injury that he suffered. But outside of that dude was everywhere. His motor is absolutely off the charts. He was running. I mean, I love the way he's collapsing from the weak side when they try and run the opposite side, and he's running the guy down from behind. We saw the same from Tavius Robinson, another guy who we expect and probably need to have a very productive season with this extremely young group. Outside of KVN, everyone else is incredibly young. And Kyle Van Noy is kind of the Yoda of the group. But, man, Tavius Robinson, first of all, the coaches love him. John Harbaugh was heaping praise. He said, if you want to know what play like a Raven looks like, it's Tavius Robinson. I mean, you can't get much higher praise from your coach than that right there. Those two guys, their motor is incredibly impressive. And what I always say, having a high motor just raises your floor of production. Because if you just play your ass off, you're going to run into sacks. You're going to run into tackles for loss. It's just so many things can happen if you just simply play hard. And those two guys play their absolute asses off. And so even if they don't beat the guy with their first move, they're going to keep working. And if that play is extended, boom, they come out of nowhere. And maybe they don't get the sack in the first 2-3 seconds, but they'll get there in 4 or 5 just off of their motor. Now, we saw that they also have some pretty quick twitch abilities as well. And so I'm confident that stuff will continue to get better and they'll continue to grow. But man, Jimbo, their motor is what impressed me.
Yeah, it made me think of what I think it was Baldy that was talking about the difference between Max Crosby and Myles Garrett. I think he was talking about how he thought Max Crosby should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year because I think he had double or 2.5 times the total tackles that Myles Garrett had. And he talked about it just being all effort plays, like chase down plays and things like that. And that's such an important part of the game and the position. I mean, look, one of those guys, talking Tavius Robinson, my breakout player candidate this year, had this game sealing tackle. Did a great job there. And just like you said with Isaac, the dude is massive, but he can move. He can really move, and I'm excited for him to get his game legs back, his game body back.
Yes.
But yeah, Glenn, it looks like a few people are a little concerned. Want to make sure you get to the show. Okay, did you take your Metamucil before and clear everything out? You good to go?
I am doing just fine, ladies and gentlemen. Look, this isn't a consistent issue. This isn't. I don't have any issues holding my. No, it was one bad moment. And I'll tell you this one I'm blaming it on. I don't know if I mentioned this on the show. I had funfetti cake the night before. You remember funfettis?
Oh, yeah.
I think funfettis did me dirty. Funfettis was no good. That's the only thing I can look to, and I blame you, funfettis. Okay? I blame you for that mess. That was terrible.
But to your point, yeah, I think this group we need these young guys to step up, but I think that a lot of us are expecting it to come from Odafe Oweh. I know obviously, you are, but I think that the next group after him between Tavius, Ajabo, and Isaac could really be big impactful players even this season and make this group exciting nonetheless. Exciting if nothing else.
Yeah. And here's the good thing, and we're going to talk about this. It's kind of be a reoccurring theme in the show. When you have a bunch of young guys leading the group and being relied upon, the good thing about it is they're typically going to get better throughout the year. And the whole idea is you want your team to be playing best at the end of the year when it matters most. Whereas if you're relying on a bunch of older guys, sometimes they'll come out the gate looking great. I mean, first 3 games, it's like, Jesus, they can't block this guy. But they get older. I mean, they're older, so they get tired. They get banged up. They have trouble staying on the field. And so their end of season play is usually worse than their beginning of the season play. But when you rely on young guys, it's the exact opposite. And so at least in theory, these guys should continue to get better and better throughout the year, continue to improve their technique, get their, even get stronger throughout the year. There's not a lot of these guys, if you're in year 10, that you're getting stronger than you were 5 years before. It can be a much more challenging thing to accomplish. So that's also very encouraging when you're talking about this edge group.
Yeah, agreed. 100%. Oh, geez, I just brought an old one back. 100%.
Hey, quick shout outs in the chat here. Shumal says his 6-month-old has the same problem. So there you go, Jimbo. I'm good. Not an issue for me. I mean, he knows someone. And yeah, shout out to John J in the chat. Cedric, appreciate you coming out. Don C, why is there a picture of heaven above Jimmy's head? Is that
no,
like water and
that's what I'm saying. It's a seacoast. There's a what's that called? A lighthouse, a boat.
I mean, it does look like heaven. I'm sure for some people that is heaven.
Look, hey, I wouldn't be mad if that were heaven.
No, it's not so bad. Yeah, Lil Trev says Tavius looked good too. Yes, he did. Jimbo might have just done it again, picking Tavius. I did want to say somebody's first time in the chat earlier, so I wanted to give them a quick shout out, but I'm having trouble finding that. There's Sean Schmidt. Appreciate you coming out. Watching from Ohio in the Lions Den in Ohio. Whew. That's got to be tough. But look, at least you know that's like the Ravens' second home, because when they go to Cincinnati, when they go to Cleveland,
right?
We just sun those teams and then come back to Baltimore.
That is right.
But yeah, where are we moving on to next? Those young edges look good, but where are we traveling to next? Who are we talking about next?
Ooh. Trenton Simpson is the real deal. Look, it's funny because on the pre-show, Glenn and I were both, as usual, we were just kind of comparing our notes from the game. And this was one that was clear that, I already knew was going to overlap, right? Like, it's very clear that Trenton Simpson is everything as advertised. I was getting a little concerned, Glenn, when the Ravens staff starts pumping a guy up. It's almost like they're trying to give him some confidence. And, we've seen them do this in years past with Odafe Oweh, right? Like, didn't someone compare him to LT or Reggie White or something like that? I mean, that was a whole thing that Wink did that.
Well, Wink said he had the single greatest edge workout that he's ever seen.
See, so like stuff like that gets me a little concerned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with Trenton Simpson, it looks absolutely real. His coverage, we saw his coverage skills yesterday come out. Obviously, his tackling is there. His speed is there. His blitzing ability is there. But Glenn, I think you want to go one further than that, just to say that more than to say that he's real. I think you're here to make a proclamation to the world here.
Yeah. Everyone's going to see why they were very fine with letting Patrick Queen leave, except that massive paycheck to disappoint Steelers fans, while Trenton Simpson, the younger, bigger, faster, less expensive option, will just simply play better than him in purple. And he'll do it in his first year as a professional, Jim Bell. Oh, well, as a starter, I should say. He was here last year, but as a starter and full-time participant, he is going to be, I mean, you said it all, Jimbo. We've already seen him blitz, look damn fast, look explosive, and someone just tried to reach out and just kind of like just slow him down a little bit, and he didn't even break stride. They tried, it was unbelievable. His stickiness and coverage, that's the part that's got me the most excited of all, because that's the area that really had us the most frustrated watching Pat Queen. Even when he was playing at his best, he wasn't always the best in coverage, which, look, it's tough for these linebackers. They're typically either chasing a guy who's, way faster or bigger and faster, because these tight ends are just that. They're 6'5", 6'6", 270 pounds, and are faster than a lot of these linebackers out there. So it's almost always a mismatch in some way for these linebackers. And that's what makes Trenton's what he's been doing so far against lesser talent, albeit, and against more vanilla schemes. But he is sticky in coverage. Like we just saw yesterday, his pass rush. We see him get a pass deflection as that tight end. He was inside that tight end's jersey with him, Jimbo, knocking that ball down. It was incredible to see. We know I put the graphic up last week. We talked about the graphic that showed how Roquan was better in coverage than every other linebacker in the league, including Fred Warner, who is the consensus best linebacker in football.
Blah, 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 blah.
You put Trenton Simpson next to already the best cover linebacker in football. We already know what he does when against the run. Holy smokes. I mean, I'm excited, Jimbo. I am not at all worried about Patrick Queen's departure anymore.
No, and it helps so much because we've talked about the question marks at the outside linebacker position. But if you look at the defense holistically and you start at the defensive backs, no questions there.
Zero.
Like elite. That's an elite room from safeties down to corners. And then you move down to your inside linebackers. Trenton Simpson already answered a question for you. That group together can be something special, of course, is what we wholeheartedly believe. And you look at the defensive tackles, that's another room that I think doesn't get enough love outside of the Ravens, but led by Madubuike. And then you look at the guys that he has around him in Travis Jones, Pierce, Broderick Washington, even Brent Urban. That's a really, really solid group with some unique pass rush ability between Madubuike and Pierce even. And then, so even if you have some questions at the edge, which I get, we saw some of the things that'll get us excited, but everywhere else seems to be so sure, right? Yeah. That it's just an exciting proposition to have this group walk out on the field and to believe that we can be as good as we were last year, if not better, which is crazy to say. We were such a good defense last year. Maybe it will manifest itself differently in the statistics and things, but it's a realistic possibility. I mean, absolutely. And should be an expectation, right? Like I know what's his face says all the time, but it's true here in Baltimore. Who is it? Tomlin says all the time, the standard is the standard. Well, defensively here in Baltimore, the standard is the standard, right? And so I expect this team to be as good as they were last year and to be good every year defensively. And this unit as a whole is really exciting. Trenton Simpson is a big part of it, man. Huge part of it.
No doubt. I can't wait for that. I tell you what, I better not see him in the third preseason. I have no need to see him anymore in the preseason. I'm done. I've seen enough. Tanja has made it. Appreciate Tanja coming out.
Glenn, yeah. I thought it was funny, Glenn, that we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the first preseason game, which didn't happen. I thought, what if our Darius Washington sat? Like, what kind of a statement would that be for that guy and the belief that his coaching staff has in him? But I didn't see him in the second half. I don't even know if I saw him in the second quarter. I saw him chatting with Dayton Wade, pads off and everything. So I'm pretty sure Darius is on the team.
Yeah. It's especially with the the fact that he can fill in at safety and at nickel cornerback with Arthur Maulet out. I think when Maulet got hurt, I think that almost just sealed the deal that he's going to make the team.
Yep, 100%. Victoria, shout out. Victoria and Doncy, of course, always doing their thing. Gifted 5 more memberships.
Man.
We appreciate it. Appreciate the love. And hopefully you guys are getting something out of the community perks that we provide. We're going to continue, of course, to layer on stuff. If you guys haven't checked out DK and Brad's show, they're a lot of fun to watch, and it's cool to see them kind of implement some things that that I think that we'll start to bring into our show as well. So we're just trying to keep up with them at this point, Glenn. That's the thing.
That's it. It's not easy.
No. High bar, dude. High bar.
That's right.
DK's a pole vaulter.
That's right. Yeah, he gets over that high bar. We're still working on it. We're still trying. We're still trying. I'm like that pole. I'm like the one in the Olympics. Dude.
Oh,
sometimes I get caught up. You know what I mean? What's going on, Jax? Appreciate you coming out here. Yeah, the Steelers. By the way, I loved every second of it. Cole, where you been, brother? Cole's in the chat. Appreciate you coming
Shout out, Cole.
Miss you, Cole.
Dude.
Slide into the DMs. And I'll certainly answer. But I've been loving the Steelers played. The Steelers played both their quarterbacks for like the entire game, and they had 3 points at the end of the game. Like, I gotta look this up again because it's just too good. They are an absolute mess. Like, they went out and were like, yeah, Jimbo, they scored 3 points yesterday.
So bad.
They are so bad. Like, everyone, and I saw a lot of the reports coming out where it was like, oh, look at Fields, he's doing stuff. But then when you see the game, he's still, I mean, Jimbo, the only 2 quarterbacks that played for the Steelers for the entire game were Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. They scored 3 points, Jimbo. What, so bad as a team combined between those 2 players. They're only 2 quarterbacks, 19 of 27 for 113 yards. They had 19 completions for 113 yards. Like, that is so, like, I have no worry. Like, I know they'll probably finish a game above 500. Let me say that.
All right.
They probably will. But damn it, if we don't stop losing to the Steelers like we have been these last few years, I'm going to go absolutely apeshit because their team, they don't have a quarterback still, Jimbo.
Yeah, it's wild because we really thought, okay, they're going to do everything they can, take every opportunity to turn over every leaf, turn over every stone. They're just going to sign all the guys, right? There's an old quote from one of my favorite comedians, George Lopez, that said, the white people are giving away all the gluten. Give me all the gluten. Right? Like, it's kind of the idea. The Steelers were like, wait, teams are giving away the quarterbacks? Give me all the quarterbacks, right? They're just like, give them all to me, right? And it's still isn't working out, man. I don't know what to say. Just laugh. No, it's great. It's joyful. I mean, it is a joyful moment. I agree. Yeah, they'll be 9-8. And everyone will be talking about how Tomlin's the man, and he brought this team to 9-8, and then we'll be doing the same thing again next year.
Yep.
But that's what you get for reaching in the draft. Not just once. You reached with Kenny Pickett, and you reached with your running back. Why did you take Najee in the first round?
Who?
The Steelers. I'm saying.
Yeah. I was supposed to say.
Other than wide receivers, no. My only point is, think about this, Glenn. Najee Harris was drafted higher than Derrick Henry.
That is crazy.
What? And his job is being taken away for the most part by an undrafted guy.
Well, now Jalen Warren's going to miss a few weeks with a hamstring. So now it's going to be, it's going to be, Hey, Cole's in the chat. We got Sip to Tally in the chat. We got all the resident film experts in the chat. Coach Evans, appreciate you joining us. I mean, it's pretty cool. Appreciate you guys jumping in there. Jack's becoming a member. Appreciate you. I'm all for watching the Steelers just continue to flounder their quarterback position. Thank you for leaving, Big Ben. Thank you. Massey says, Malik Willis for backup. What do you think? I like him. Kid never been given much of a chance at the Titans. There is something to work with. Josh Johnson isn't doing it for me. Well, I was concerned about Josh Johnson after the first game. Coach did mention there was a lot of miscommunication, some routes being ran incorrectly in the by the pass catchers, whether it be receivers or tight ends. And so, man, I was pretty critical, but 11 for 11 while pushing the ball down the field. This isn't 11 for 11 for like the Steelers, where he had 19 completions for 120 yards. This was pushing the ball down the field. I'm happy with him. As far as Malik Willis, I don't know what it would take. I imagine it probably wouldn't take a ton because they probably think it's time for him to have a fresh start as well. But I don't see him doing it. What do you think, Jimbo?
No, I don't know if that's. I mean, that's certainly not what Malik wants. I don't think he wants to consider him career backup, which is what he would be here, right? Like he would be shooting.
Well, he ain't gonna win, right? With Willis there or Levis there.
No, I don't think so. But my point is that I still think that he's got to believe that he's young enough and can improve enough to where he can turn himself into a starter.
Okay.
And so I think he kind of would want an opportunity to see that through. So obviously, if he got traded here, it wouldn't be his choice, right? Like, yeah, obviously he wouldn't have a decision, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless he's ready, I still would rather have Josh Johnson as my backup right now than Malik Willis, who's incredibly inconsistent. And I don't know. I just feel like with Josh, you know what you're gonna get. Josh is like a Honda Accord. You know what I mean? Like it's just not special at anything, but
it's reliable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Where Malik is like a European car, maybe that is really nice, but
it's just like Malik wouldn't help Lamar in it. Like at least Josh Johnson is kind of because he's been on 14 different teams.
Right, they can talk things through.
Yeah, he can go to him. Like Lamar's not going to go to Malik for advice on what he's seeing. He's not going to bring the iPad over and be like, "All right, what do you think?" But he might do that with Josh Johnson. So I would only be more encouraged for them to go after a veteran backup. Like we talked about, Tannehill would be great if he wasn't so damn expensive. But Malik Willis, I'm just not sure what he does to help Lamar. And for that reason, I would pass. But hey, I mean, I think Malik Willis has more upside than a guy like Josh Johnson, obviously. It's just I don't think we're in the market for that right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, appreciate the comment, though. Appreciate the generosity. Let's see here. The Truth JGW says it would be a tragedy if Dayton Wade doesn't make the team. It's almost like Patrick Ricard knew what he was talking about. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Patrick Ricard called this months ago about Dayton Wade. Actually, is the reason why we reached out to him and had him on the show a few weeks ago now. But yeah, is Dayton Wade making it almost? Is he really making their decision pretty tough here, Jimbo?
Yeah, he's making their decision extremely tough, man. I mean, it's going to be difficult, right? Because the math is what it is as far as the guys that are locks on the team.
And I think there's a 6th spot open. I think that 6th spot might be for him.
Yeah, it's hard to say otherwise at this point. I mean, certainly no other guys have stepped up like he has. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. I hope this kid makes the team. I mean, if you saw his stuff in college, it's still surprising he went undrafted. It was really about the measurables. So, I would say after we talked to him, Glenn, we're also not surprised he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, super confident. Didn't seem like he was overwhelmed by the moment or the fact that he's now in the big leagues. He looks like he's ready to go, and he also would bring a little versatility. We saw him as a kick returner, and maybe if nothing else, that's where he starts to participate more so before he cracks the offensive lineups, because he's still going to be the 6th guy even if he makes the team. I still put Tylan Wallace above him. I still put Zay and Bateman and Aguilar and even Tez Walker because of his draft status, not production thus far. That's for darn sure. But he's still going to be the 6th guy. But I'm not so sure he would make it through waivers if they're going to try and be cute and try and cut him and then re-sign him to the practice squad. I'm not so sure that. Like, do you think that's a possibility? What do you think, Jimbo?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I guess what I would say is that it's possible, but I also agree with you that he doesn't make it.
It's risky.
Yeah, he's got too much tape out there at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was shout out to Cedric Teagle. Cedric just became a YouTube member. My man.
Appreciate that.
Looking forward to it. And like I said, hopefully you guys are getting something out of it and continue to do so. All right, where are we going next? I know we're going to talk about the undrafted guys. Do you want to go right there? I mean, we kind of leapt into that conversation.
Yeah, we might as well continue. All
right, well, let's go here then. Growing pains are coming for the offensive line. Patience needed. That's just kind of in our pregame show. That's kind of where I'm at this point. I think that's kind of where we're at. So I just want to give my take on the offensive line, and then Glenn, obviously, add to it.
Please do, because I think Faalele might be getting a little bit too much grief. So tell him about it.
Yeah, no, I would agree that I think. I know Cole's in the chat, and I'm going to stand on 10 toes when I say this as a person that is not an offensive line. What's the word? An offensive line analyst.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the 3 new guys, Rosengarten, Falele, and Voorhees,
mm-hmm.
I'm feeling the most okay about Falele.
Wow.
Not that I don't feel good about the other guys, but if you're asking me who I feel most okay with, I'm not saying good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling most okay with right now in week 1. It's Falele, but my point with the offensive line is this. I want everyone to keep this in perspective. When we play the Chiefs in week 1, there are going to be some bad moments on the offensive line. But when we're in week 10 and we're in December football, I expect those bad moments to be little to none, with the same 5 that we have in week 1, barring health. The reason that is because 10 weeks of NFL football, if Rosengarten, Voorhees, and Falele are worth their salt, is that the saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then they will continue to improve and that unit will gel. The other 2 guys around them, I don't have concerns around, outside of obviously Ronnie's health, but he seems healthy. So I would say that, we got to take the lumps. We're going to take the punches. Guys are going to get beat. It's not going to look great. Lamar will clean some things up to help these guys out, but also have some faith and remember that this is that group. These are guys that can improve and can improve rapidly, and each one of them in their own right are elite level athletes that can continue to get better. So that's kind of with the offensive line. I have my concerns for sure, but I don't have my concerns about their ability as a unit. I just have my concerns about the lack of experience early on in the season, but I feel good about the group as a whole later in the season.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the point that we're going to have to focus on early on because, man, there's going to be some frustration early on. And I hope Lamar is ready for those moments because I think he's going to be obviously on the receiving end of some of the results of those growing pains. He's probably going to take some hits that I just hope what it doesn't do is him lose confidence or lose faith in the offensive line and start looking for pass rushers instead of looking down the field because – yeah, there's going to be some bad moments. And that's the scary part early on. You don't want to see, your quarterback get beat up, get injured, God forbid, because, man, I'm worried a little bit. I mean, Voorhees had some really – that sack that he gave up, I mean, Josh got absolutely killed. He got shut. Voorhees got thrown on his ass. He was too high on too many plays. I liked him when they were moving him. I did like that, but there was at least a few occasions where, I mean, he looked overmatched, and I guess we should expect that. This is what the preseason is for. But like you said, growing pains nonetheless. And then Roger showed some really nice athleticism and was able to. Man, his first step is quick, Jimbo. This guy can get into his set really, really fast, and I do like seeing that. But I also saw him get absolutely overmatched strength-wise. He got boom, just shoved backwards. Just looked like he got just stunned by the initial punch from the D lineman. And it's got me a little concerned. And like you said, Falele, he's moving a little. I saw one play where they pulled. They didn't pull him, but all 3, Cleveland, Falele, and Rosengarten were all moving from right to left, and they looked okay moving. I mean, obviously Roger looked really good moving. Voorhees, I think, looks pretty damn good moving, and I don't think Falele gets the credit he deserves for how he moves, man. At that size, and they always got to qualify it. He is incredibly athletic for the man that massive. It's crazy. So I'm concerned about Rodgers' ability to knock guys off the ball big time and getting absolutely stunned by a very strong, edge or even if they, bring a guy from the inside to the outside in certain situations. I'm scared about that. I'm scared about Voorhees because if he misses up like that, we're going to get our quarterback killed. But I'm feeling a little bit better about Falele than I did. I still wonder if Ben Cleveland's the best right guard on this team, but I'm feeling better about Falele.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I've said this before, but I know people will talk about Falele's lack of speed in practice and things like that. I'm wholeheartedly convinced it's just self-preservation.
Yeah.
It's just, dude, you got to get through a hot camp. You're a massive human being. But look, dude, when you get him on the field, he's going to be as fast as he needs to be. Not any faster, but he's going to be just as fast as he needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how it's going to go. I have no doubt of that. But yeah, I guess just kind of reiterating my point. Let's just hope that these guys stay healthy and they continue to get the reps. And I firmly believe that we're going to get better week over week. with this group.
Right. Yeah. And I think, it's like Don C touches on it perfectly. Doesn't Lamar just make your offensive lineman better just by being on the field?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And the other thing too, Glenn, is we haven't seen all 5 of them together, but we haven't seen them with, like, in pass protection is easy to watch, but like, let's watch them with not only Lamar, but Derrick Henry in the backfield too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's watch these massive athletes get a full head of steam, get some confidence, and moving downfield and have people, try and stop them, right? Like, you talked about Falele's size, but as a whole, they're strong, they're athletic, and they're big, right? So, let's add all that to their game. It's complementary football between those two units, and so I'm excited to see what they can do.
Monkey needs to help him out. I think Ton just touching on this right here in the chat that Lamar's going to have to maybe get the ball out a little bit quicker out of his hands early in the season. Help those young guys out, even if that does mean you got to keep a tight end to chip or let a back chip a chip before he heads out.
Yeah, we got Patrick Card for a reason, for goodness gracious, right?
And you got how many tight ends on this roster that we all know are going to make the team? We're going to have 4 of them on this team. If you have to use them, fine. We already talked about this team needs to be in a lot of 2 tight end sets. All right, let Mark or Isaiah chip them on their way out and help out your young tackle or help out.
Yeah.
I think that they'll be prepared to help these young guys early on. But like we said about the youth and the other positions at the year end, if these guys are healthy, like Jimmy's saying, they'll be playing their best football. And don't be shocked if by season's end they're not one of the top 10 offensive lines in football because of that growth, that expected growth in all their game.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point, Glenn, and Tanja's point about getting the football out early, that's on Monken and on Lamar. They've got to make sure they work together, to do that, right? Like, Monken's got to save Lamar from himself sometimes, and Lamar's got to have some be able to be self-reflective enough to say, all right, like, just because I can play hero ball doesn't mean I need to.
Right. That's a good point.
When things get tough. And then Cedric brings up a good point. Let's not forget we have McCary. Absolutely. I mean, McCary's the ultimate Swiss Army knife at offensive line and a part of that unit, right? Like, you got to equate him in there because if anything does happen, you have a guy that will be average at any of the 5 positions for the most part. Rich, you say average and it sounds like a knock, but like, to be an average offensive lineman at all 5 positions is a true talent, right?
Yeah, because there's not many of them out there. I see Cole saying the inside will sort itself out. The boys will be just fine, Jimbo. So we're going to have to get Cole on here this upcoming week for sure to get his take because I know he's been studying the tape like crazy. And it'll be interesting to see from his perspective what these guys look like because I got to know I feel like there's sometimes people, when they make their judgment on someone, it can be hard to change their mind on that person, even if the evidence supports it. So I'll be interested to see Cole's reaction to Daniel Falele because he didn't think he would fit this offense at right tackle. And now we're seeing him get so many chances to be the right guard. So I'm really interested to see if he's seen improvement and if he feels better about that guy. I think he's got a video coming out too, so I'll be watching that. But yeah, I mean, this offensive line, hey, let's just hope that they stay healthy, like Jimmy said, so they can get better because they will get better.
Man.
They will definitely get better. They'll definitely get stronger, all that good stuff. But let me see what you got. What's their last?
I think it's the undrafted ones, right? Yeah, undrafted rookies continue to show out. Obviously, we talked about Dayton Wade had was a 56-yarder. I think DK has that up. We'll replay that in all of its glory. But
beautiful route.
Yeah, I mean, he just hook, line, and sinker, dude.
Yeah, it reminded me of the, of course, a couple of years. Was it last year or the year before? The same Sluggo route where, what was it? Oh, man. The guy who came over, the veteran that we had for a couple of years, he did the same thing. Hit a Sluggo for a deep 50-some yard touchdown. Oh, my goodness.
Gosh.
He went to the Rams.
Gosh, dang it. Robinson.
Yes. DeMarcus. Yes. It was the same exact thing. A little Sluggo. Let's see it now. DK has it actually all queued up. Here we go. All right. Is this Baldy's breakdown? Okay. So I think this is first the comeback route, then the Sluggo. So let's see here. Because he had the 11
2 weeks in a row now, this Dayton Wade, this free agent wide receiver, has showed up. Like, this is just a 12-yard comeback. But he does come back and he makes the catch, a contested catch. And then he did this. He did this right here on this stutter and go.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if that corner can play or can't play, but he tracks the deep ball and he finishes it in the end zone. He's got 5 catches. They've targeted him. I know the Ravens are set with their top 3 wide receivers.
Oh, you better
can
mute
Dayton
this.
Wade
You better
be
mute
making a
this.
name for himself here
this
DK,
preseason? We're going to get copyrighted.
2 weeks in a row now, this day.
He said, I've been there. Sip to Tally said, I've been there. He said, they're going to get us. They're going to get us, DK. So we got to be careful. Maybe we should just play it without any audio. Maybe that would have helped. Because, yeah, I
think DK is saying, though, that since he pulled it off, Baldy will copyright us.
That's what Sip to Tally's saying. He says, I've been there. So I guess he's been on the receiving end of some copyright
All right, we'll
issues.
see. We'll see who's right. This will be fun.
But either way, I think what we're seeing in that breakdown is that Dayton Wade looks like he's going to force his way onto somebody's roster. And I hope it's the Ravens roster because that guy looks like he can be a player. He's competitive. He's tough. The players love him. Did you see the reaction from Lamar on the sideline?
Yep.
You see him cutting it up with his teammates. The players love him. So, yeah, man, I'm all for Dayton Wade making this team. 100%.
And we're gonna give our full roster predictions, of course, as always, here in the coming weeks. So make sure that you guys check it out. Of course, we'll have that coming up. It'll be interesting to see if Glenn and I both have him on our team. And if we have him moving forward, if the math works itself out. But we got to talk about a few other guys. Did you see Kadir Ismail's play where he went from inside the doghouse to outside the doghouse like that?
Yeah. He, I don't know. I think that was, first of all, he got popped. He got absolutely smacked. But I wonder if that was a catch. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't consider that a catch, right? But man, hey, at least he gave it effort afterward to go after that football.
No doubt. And I think he looks like he's got some natural abilities. He's definitely an athlete.
Yep.
I don't know if you could have a better person to be your dad if you want to make that transition.
Yep.
To have Kadri Ismail be your pops and teach you to go from a quarterback to a wide receiver, and also the unique perspective he has from being a former quarterback. Yeah, I'll be rooting for him. But I mean, look, we got to talk about Bo Braid.
Got to.
Right? We got to stop burying the lead. Nick Robes, let's get to this real quick. Curious what you guys think of this year's rookie class health. Every draft pick has missed time except Rosengarten and Leary. Is Owen taking Ali's spot? Well, Owen Wright to me, I would give it to Owen Wright right
That's
now.
what I was going to say. I wanted to talk about that next. We have to talk about the running back room because it seems like it's Owen Wright's job.
Yeah. And we saw him as a kick returner. And he almost
broke a massive one.
Yep, we saw him catch the ball in the backfield. I mean, he's done literally everything. And I'd feel better about him going into a game if the top 2 were to go down, or even if Derek were to go down. I'd see Owen Wright and Justice Hill over Rasheen Ali and Justice Hill.
Agreed.
But as far as the health of the rest of the rookie class, Nate Wiggins looks like he's going to be fine. He didn't miss a ton of time, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's like that every year with these young guys. Like they come in and I mean, Zay had a pretty healthy camp, but doesn't it seem like that with every year? Like, aren't they always banged up? It's a big leap, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm not, I guess to answer your question, Nick, I'm not overly concerned about it. I think things will work themselves out. I think Nate will be fine. I think Rosengarten and Adisa is working himself back into football shape.
How much does that combine hurt these guys, Jimbo? Honestly, because they train for that, and they don't train as football players; they train as track athletes for.
I don't know. That's a good question. I've never really thought about that. I don't know if it could hurt. I think the biggest thing that hurts is that it's a long college season, and there's no real
break.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right from that to training for the combine,
right?
To now you're at rookie camp,
right? And you got pro days, and you got all of that stuff. There's no off season, and then you go right into league where you're playing against bigger, faster, stronger, smarter, more dedicated, full-grown men who are trying to feed their family, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's a kind of a tough situation.
Yeah,
because this isn't basketball or baseball. There's a much more physical component to this where I think your body needs some time to recover.
Yeah, and I think the leap playing against young men to playing against grown men is probably a pretty big jump as well.
Yeah,
these guys are got to be way stronger. But I got to talk about the Terp.
Let's do it.
The playmaker and the defensive MVP so far, and it's been Bo Braid. There's just no doubt about it. They can say that wasn't an interception all they want. I ain't buying it for a damn second. That was an interception. He also led our team in tackles with 8, including 5 solo tackles. He was all over the field, just like he was in the first game. This wasn't no fluke. This was This is just what this guy is. And if nothing else, him and Sanusi Kane will be an absolute terror on any type of kick coverage, punt coverage, kickoff, all that. Yeah, they're going to be unbelievable. And they just can tackle in space. Like, that's not you can't just gloss over that. Like, it's not a big deal. It's not easy to tackle these guys in space. That's what chunk plays, yards after catch, that's like game-changing moments. And if you got guys that can just simply tackle no matter what, that's a valuable trait. So Bo Braid is making a name for himself. And if like I said, if he's not on this team, I think he's on someone else's.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, he is what we talked about. I said this kind of last time. Everything they said in his description as far as what he can do really well, he can do really well. Mm-hmm. And there's been other stuff kind of added on top of that, right? Like, I think his ball skills are underrated. It wasn't something that was highlighted in his draft description.
Right. That catch, diving, picking it off the turf. I don't care if they said it incomplete. And
it was, the anticipation, it wasn't like it was a fluke either. There was anticipation to that. Athleticism, took a lot of things to get there and be right in that spot. So I'm excited for him as well, pushing to make this team. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many times we've had here we go. Asmodeus Steno says, Bo Braid, I believe.
Yes.
I like it. I don't know how many times the Ravens have had 2 undrafted guys make one roster.
I think it's only happened like once before.
But it'll be exciting. It'll sure be exciting.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll be rooting for them. I think it's going to be tough. Like, there's so many young guys on this team that I want to make the team. And I just, they can't all do it. So it's going to be some tough cuts. But I do like that this team, I think the team nowadays will get rid of, or they will cut ties with even the most recent of draft picks, even this year's draft pick, if they think they're beaten out on the field by an undrafted guy. So I at least know that there's a chance for these guys to make it.
Yeah, I just want to also say one thing, and this is kind of what we were talking about before. I just saw Cole's tweet that Falele had 41 pass plays and 1 pressure allowed.
Hey-o.
Pretty good. Just saying.
Not too shabby. And then Emory Jones, DK reminds us in the chat to talk a little bit about Emory. After getting a pretty unfair shake at it in his first preseason game, gets brought in with 10 seconds left, only to drop back, get strip sacked, and give up the game-winning field goal. He bounced back in a big way, going 7 of 9 for 100 yards and a touchdown. Of course, the one to Dayton Wade, the 56-yarder, had a QB rating of 150. Feel happy for the guy. Yeah. I think that was so cool. I hope there's a way. I think they have to, it's 3 quarterbacks, right? So I know Josh Johnson's the primary backup and Devin Leary's probably going to, but maybe the practice squad for Emory Jones, maybe.
Yeah. He did as much as he could to redeem himself.
He looks better to me than Devin Leary has.
Yeah. Devin Leary is so inconsistent.
Yeah. I know he's a draft pick, but they said it was Coach Martin's guy. It wasn't like Coach Harbaugh's or Eric DeCosta's guy.
Yeah. Devin Leary seems like one of those guys where you go fishing at a small creek and he shows up with a shotgun.
Just
you know what I'm saying?
Just too much?
Yeah, it's like, dude, why? Like, we're going fishing for guppies here and you just brought a shotgun. Like, what?
Yeah, he's got a stick of dynamite in his pocket.
Yeah, exactly. He just blows them all up. All of a sudden, you see 50 guppies just floating out on the
Yeah, I might go Emory Jones and let Devin Leary test the waters in the waiver wire.
That's fair. I ain't mad at that. Yeah. I'm not mad at it at all. I don't know what the value add is other than your own pride and saying we drafted this guy. And I don't think Eric DeCosta has any of that.
I could just blame it on T.
Yeah.
Oh, C. Martin's guy. It's his fault.
Take it out of your paycheck, T.
Yeah, it's his fault. That's why we cut his ass, because we didn't even want him in the first place. It was T's guy. That's what they say, and they keep Emory. I'd much rather have Emory.
Yeah. And even at camp in person, Emory looked like a better thrower of the football when we were there, just from what we saw.
No doubt. Doug says, "What's up, gents? How we doing tonight?" Doing well, Doug. Hope you are as well. He said, "Hard loss last year. Saw it in person." Yes, so did all of us.
Yeah.
And Cole, if he's still in the chat. I know he made that long trip.
I don't know how much that game he remembers, but no, I'm kidding.
That's sad ride home. But he's coming back, Jimbo. Said, what are your thoughts on the vet wide receiver ad? Still feel like we need a backup quarterback. Well, as far as the veteran wide receivers, I've liked what I've seen from Gage thus far. I know he's made big-time catches back in his time with the Bucs. So yeah, I think he's a solid player. I think Keith Kirkwood looked pretty good. That was an absolute dime. That out route that Josh Johnson threw to him yesterday was an absolute dime, but he made the catch nonetheless. He did his job. So yeah, I think those. And then Anthony Miller has been, I mean, the talk of camp. Everybody's been hyping him up, the speed, the this, to that. But and guess Glenn, what? They ain't none of them making it over Dayton Wade, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you. But the biggest thing I would say too is one of the things that we talked about in the pregame shows. Don't sleep on Tylan Wallace. He's a vet as well, right? Like, and Tylan has looked like you would expect a guy in his position to look in preseason. Every time he's got an opportunity to play against a preseason playing guy, he made them look foolish. Every opportunity he's got, he looks good. He looks smooth. He catches the ball. He's reliable. He looks a step ahead of all these guys. And so if it comes down to it, Tylan Wallace, we should also expect to contribute if need be as well and expect things out of him. You know, I'm not sitting here saying he's the second coming of Jerry Rice. That's not my point, but that I think, he can develop into something in and of himself. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do out there when he gets his opportunities, numbers called.
Yeah, but as far as adding a backup, I just don't know who would be an upgrade while also not being incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks are so expensive, even backups if they're veterans.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, it's just a tough spot to be in.
Yeah. It's a lot, but I also have got to credit. I mean, look, they got out of it, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, without any crazy injuries too, right? Like,
yeah. No, for sure.
Goal one.
Right. Training camp is done. 2 preseason games are done. No major season dampen. We did have Malik Ham that went down.
Right, but not a guy, even a guaranteed roster spot for Malik, much less. We feel bad. We had high hopes, but not a guy who they're counting on. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely.
So that's a win. Now, is there anyone you do want to see more of in week 3's preseason?
I want to see the running back battle continue because while Wright has looked good, I don't think any of them have made themselves look more than just a guy. Like, I want to see one of them kind of take the reins as far as the third running back. I would like to see that fleshed out a little bit more. That is definitely one thing that came to my mind. Yeah, I think that's top of mind for me right now. You got any other position groups or guys?
Well, I'd like to see Kadir Ismail get. I mean, he got 3 targets, 8 yards. He caught all 3 of his targets. But I got something about it's just his fluidity. He's a fluid athlete at his size, man, and he's still going to put on. Like, his goal now is to put on muscle mass and to get bigger, get stronger, but try and maintain that fluidity. So I think he's a project player. He's obviously, I don't think he's going to help the team at all this year.
Right.
But if that's your project tight end for when you can't obviously pay both those guys, right? Yep. You can't pay them both. So one of those guys is going to be leaving in the coming years. And if Kadir is ready, then but so I really want to see. I'm intrigued by him. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I want to see more of Trayvon Mullen. He graded out incredibly well in preseason.
Fair.
I think he's always had kind of a raw deal when it comes to injuries. He's always been banged up, and I want to see what Trayvon's got, man. If nothing else, if he can get out of this, that's an accomplishment to get through training camp and a preseason healthy, not on any IR list. I think that would be kind of cool for Trayvon as well.
Yeah, and DK brings up backup inside linebacker, of course, that group as well. Josh Ross and Chris Board. Want to see what they do in this one in the third preseason game as well. I think that's fair. That's a good one to highlight as well because Josh Ross kind of came on as a darling, ended up getting hurt, and he's kind of bounced around the practice squad and IR and things like that in the past. This is his 3rd season, I believe.
Yep.
And he's looked good in the preseason. I mean, it's funny because I don't think people have talked about him too much because Trenton Simpson has been the headline, but Josh Ross has looked good. It's not that he's done anything to hurt his stock or chances to get out there. He's looked the part. So that would be a good one as well.
But
I'm excited.
I don't think he's anybody else.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to get into our roster predictions, though. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt. The roster cutdowns are due in, ladies and gentlemen, by the 27th. So at 4 p.m., NFL teams must have their roster down to 53 players. Of course, it's at 90 right now, so you can imagine the amount of players that are going to be hitting the free agency list. It's pretty insane. So A lot of moving parts. We'll certainly keep you guys up to date, but we'll be back in the next couple days to give our 53-man roster predictions.
Go.
And look, this is not like, it's not just, honestly, it's not even just like who's the most 53 deserving or the 53 most deserving players,
right?
Because we got to remember the games that they play with those last couple spots where they'll keep guys, IR guys, then sign other guys they cut right after they cut them. So this is a tough cut down. But Jimbo, I'm gonna nail it this year.
Okay, we'll see. I like your confidence.
53.
I like your confidence every year. That's the good part.
Every year I'm going to continue to be confident, and every year I'm going to be 100% from here on out.
You know what one of my favorite attributes about Glenn is, ladies and gentlemen, is like, you know, those like boxing inflatable things that like have the sand at the bottom. You can just doink him, and he's just right
Ready
there.
For more.
Like, let's go.
I'm going to win this one. I'm going to win this one.
Let's go, dude.
So I tell Cam, I said, I don't care how many times you lose. Guess what? You show up to the next game going, I'm going to rip his head off. I'm going to win this game. He won that one. Guess who's winning this one? It ain't him. It's me. That's the only way to look at it. Absolutely. And I'm going to nail it 53 out of 53. And I'm hopeful that we'll actually also catch up with Cole this week, as when I invited him on, he said to not threaten him with a good time. So it sounds like he's open to coming on. And you know what? I think we got to reach out to Sip to Tally, man. I mean, he jumps in our chat and is,
appreciate the love,
is commenting and active. So I definitely got to reach out. I've watched him many times, but we've never had him on. So we'll be working on some good shows for you guys this week. Make sure you click the notification bell, hit the like button if you enjoyed our show today. We will keep you up to date on all your Ravens news. That's it for us tonight. Have a good one. We'll talk soon.
See you.